Today's lesson is called Rappaccini's Daughter. Hello, everyone. My name is Jeff.
And I'm Roger. Today we're talking about a work of literature as we begin the merry month of July. Hope you're keeping cool this summer. And if you're keeping cool, you might want to keep yourself indoors and wrap up with a good book. Maybe you want to read a famous short story by the American author Nathaniel Hawthorne. Hey, we're going to do that today. We're going to be reading a story, or at least talking about a story, by Nathaniel Hawthorne entitled Rappaccini's Daughter, which I believe was written way back in 1844.
That's what it says here, Rappaccini's Daughter, 1844. Now, maybe the name Nathaniel Hawthorne doesn't stick out for any of you, but maybe the work The Scarlet Letter does. Yes, Nathaniel Hawthorne is most closely identified with this particular work. He's most famous for being the author of a novel called The Scarlet Letter. And today, we'll be reading another fantastic work of fiction by Nathaniel Hawthorne, a great story called Rappaccini's Daughter. Anyways, that's enough for now. Let's go ahead and get started. When we come back, we'll start reading from this month's featured story called Rappaccini's Daughter.
Rappaccini's Daughter. Giovanni Guasconti, an Italian student, had just arrived in Padua and rented a room. From his new lodgings, he could see a beautiful garden that belonged to a doctor called Rappaccini.
Hello, 大家好。第一部分我们看到的单字是 lodging， 这个字是名词，指租住的房间、寄宿。例如 I've bought the plane tickets for my vacation, but I still have to find my lodgings. 我已经买好我假期的机票，但我还必须要找住宿。另外，补充一个跟 lodging 的相关的片语，可以用 board and lodging 来代表膳宿费用。我们可以说 I worked on the farm and got my board and lodging for free. 我在农场上班，膳宿都免费。
Okay, let's talk about the first part of our lesson for today. We're summarizing our featured story, Rappaccini's Daughter. If you'd like to read the story yourself, it's probably available somewhere online rather easily. And it begins here by saying Giovanni Guasconti, an Italian student, has just arrived in Padua and rented a room. And from his new lodgings, he could see a beautiful garden that belonged to a doctor called Rappaccini. Okay, so basically that's how our story begins here. We've got an Italian student who has just gone to a place called Padua, and he's renting a room there. So he must have gone there for some reason, and he doesn't have enough money to buy a house. So he's renting a room, just like you might rent a room if you're a student at a university away from your home. And, of course, if you're talking about where you live, we're describing them as your lodgings. Lodgings, the place where you live. And it's kind of curious here because lodgings is plural here with an S. Basically, it's just referring to the house you live in, but it includes all the rooms and maybe all the furniture as well.
There you go. You could have said, from his new room, he could see a beautiful garden, but saying lodgings, it just tells you a little bit more about what's going on here. Apparently, he's got more than a room, okay? He's got a room and maybe a bathroom, maybe a small place where you can cook or something like that. There's a lot going on here. Anyways, yes, we've got Giovanni here. Why is he in Padua? Remember, he is a student. He's going there to study, and yes, he is renting a room. Now, usually when students go to college or university, they stay in a place called a dorm or a dormitory. But here, Giovanni, he rents a room. Maybe they didn't have dormitories way back there. Who knows? One way or another, though, he rented a room, and this room has a view from his room. From his new lodgings, he could see a beautiful, great garden that belonged to a doctor named Rappaccini. Now remember, the title of our story is Rappaccini's Daughter. So right now we're seeing Rappaccini's garden. I'm sure Rappaccini's daughter will follow soon. But first of all, we are going to have to go ahead and take a break. But don't go away. We'll be right back after this.
While staring out of his window, Giovanni saw the doctor, protected by gloves and a mask, appear in the garden. Rappaccini's daughter joined him, fascinating Giovanni with her beauty and her devotion to the plants. Yet, the more he watched, the more he realized there was something disturbing about both her and the garden. Insects appeared to die at the touch of her breath, and a lizard perished after touching the sap of a plant.
第二部分，我们看到一个名词 devotion， 指热爱、奉献，像是 Hard work and devotion are required if you want to be a member of the basketball team. 如果你想要成为篮球队的成员，努力及热爱奉献是必要的。另外，我们可以使用 devotion to 加名词来表示热爱对的奉献。所以可以说David's devotion to his wife and 2 children was admired by many. David 对他太太及2个孩子的奉献是被许多人羡慕的。接着，我们看到名词 lizard 指蜥蜴。举例来说 Near the lake, Tim found a small lizard lying on a rock in the sun. 在湖边 Tim 找到了一只小蜥蜴在岩石上晒太阳。再来，我们看到一个单字 perish， 这个字为动词，指意外或变故死亡、遇害，像是 More than 200 people perished in the airplane crash， 超过200人在那场空难中丧生。接下来，我们看到名词 sap， 有植物的汁液的意思，例如Don't touch the sap on the plants when you go mountain climbing because some of them are poisonous. 你去爬山时不要触碰植物上的汁液，因为有一些是有毒的。另外 sap 除了上面的意思外，更常来指削弱、逐渐消耗。所以可以说 Tracy's long illness was gradually sapping her strength. Tracy 长期的疾病逐渐在消耗她的体力。
All right, let's continue to summarize our featured story for this month, Rappaccini's Daughter. So, of course, we've already talked about the fact that we've got Giovanni Guasconti, and he's arrived at Padua, and he's rented a room, and he took a look out the window, and he saw a wonderful garden there. Ooh, what a nice garden. It's owned by a doctor who's called Rappaccini. Now, while staring out of his window, Giovanni saw the doctor, protected by gloves and a mask, appear in the garden. So he was looking out the window for a long time, staring at this beautiful garden and the scenery there, and then he saw this fella walk out into the garden. He saw the doctor appear in the garden. There he was, and the doctor was wearing gloves and a mask, though those gloves and that mask were protecting him. If you work in a garden, of course, sometimes you do need to wear things to protect yourself. You need to wear gloves because the branches might have thorns, and you need a mask maybe to prevent dirt and other things from going into your mouth.
Yeah, maybe, but this is a little bit strange, okay? This person is walking around their garden, and they need protection. Now, to a certain extent, you might need special gloves if you're digging in the dirt or you're dealing with plants that have thorns on them or something like that. But this is a little bit strange. But hey, the story is moving forward. We've seen Rappaccini's garden. It's great and wonderful. It's spectacular. Now, we've seen Rappaccini himself, the doctor. Next, we're going to see Rappaccini's daughter. Yes, Rappaccini's daughter joined him, i.e., joined the doctor out there in the garden, fascinating Giovanni with her beauty and her devotion to the plants. So there you go, Rappaccini's daughter. We've now seen her, and apparently she is beautiful. And this, of course, fascinates Giovanni. He's immediately interested in her and curious about her. And yes, not only is her beauty fascinating, so is her devotion to the plants in this garden.
Devotion, that's a noun. It just refers to how dedicated you are to something, how much time you spend on something. You're loyal to that thing, and you don't give up on that thing. So she loves the plants. She cares for them. She's devoted to those plants. Of course, devotion comes from the verb to devote or be devoted to. So, of course, she has this devotion to the plants. She loves them. She takes great care of them. And that's very impressive to Giovanni. He's not only impressed by her beauty, but by her devotion to those plants. If she can take such good care of those plants, imagine how good a mother she could be in the future. Maybe that's what he's thinking.
Maybe that's what he's thinking then, but again, the story moves forward, okay, and strange things start to happen. Yes, we've got the doctor, Rappaccini. He's in his garden with gloves and a mask, and Rappaccini's daughter is there too, and she is wonderful. But Giovanni starts to get a strange feeling about these proceedings. What he sees, it doesn't really add up. Yes, the next line says, yet the more he watched, the more he realized there was something disturbing about both her and the garden. So yes, her devotion is a bit strange, and so is the garden. Maybe that's why the doctor is walking around protected by gloves and protected by a mask as well. Anyways, let's go back a little bit and talk about the word disturbing. If something is disturbing, it makes you feel unsettled or upset in some way. If you feel disturbed, you see something and you know something is not quite right, and it's a bit scary too. Yes, if something is disturbing, it can make you feel uneasy or upset or a little bit shocked or a little bit dismayed or a little bit worried. Yeah, very simply, the word disturbing describes something that makes you feel uncomfortable and maybe even a little bit scared. Yes, when I was growing up, I made a mistake, okay? I stayed up late and I watched a very disturbing movie called The Texas Chainsaw Massacre. It was a big mistake. I shouldn't have done that.
Never saw that movie, but I could also say that I recently read some disturbing news about global warming. It sounds like we can't stop it. At least that's why I thought it was disturbing. You could also say that disturbing here is part of a verb phrase. Something is disturbing you, something is bothering you. But here, again, it's being used as an adjective. Something was disturbing about both her and the garden. Something was strange, something was unusual, something's not quite right here. And in the next sentence, it says, insects appeared to die at the touch of her breath, and a lizard perished after touching the sap of a plant. So again, that's why things were disturbing there. That's why things were strange or unusual. Insects, bugs, flies, mosquitoes, etc. It seemed as if they died at the touch of her breath, or they died when she breathed on them. Breath here, of course, is the air that you breathe out of your body. So if she breathed on the plants or on those insects, they seemed to die. He must have really good eyesight there if he can see those insects dying when she breathes on them. We've also got a lizard there, which is a CE in Chinese. A lizard seemed to perish. It seemed to die after it touched the sap of a plant. Sap is like liquid or juice that comes out of a tree or a plant.
Yeah, it's kind of like the blood of a plant or a tree or something like that. Yeah, I believe that maple syrup is made from the sap of the maple tree. Anyways, here you have it, everyone. Rappaccini's garden is poisonous. It's a poisonous garden, but it turns out, or it looks like, Rappaccini's daughter might be poisonous as well. How about that? All right, folks, with that, it's time for us to take a break, but don't go away. When we come back, we'll be wrapping up day one of our story called Rappaccini's Daughter.
Despite his troubling observations, when Giovanni learned of a secret way into the garden, he jumped at the opportunity to meet the daughter, Beatrice. He was enthralled by her innocence and the way her breath smelled just like the purple flowers from the garden. He offered to pick one for her, but she screamed and pulled his hand away. "Touch it not," she cried, "not for thy life. It is fatal." That night, Giovanni could hardly sleep, and his hand felt like it was on fire when he awoke. Where Beatrice had grabbed him, there was a purple handprint burned onto his skin.
第三部分，我们看到一个片语 jump at the opportunity， 表示欣然接受机会。举例来说 I jumped at the opportunity to go on a fishing trip with my father in Canada. 我把握了机会跟我父亲去参加加拿大的钓鱼之旅。另外，补充 opportunity 的片语可以用 window of opportunity 来代表短暂的机会。我们可以说Once a film is released, the window of opportunity for merchandising is short. 电影一旦上映后，能推销的机会就变少了。最后，我们看到动词 enthrall 用来指迷住、吸引住，像是 The audiences were enthralled by the amazing performance of the actress. 观众被那位女演员精彩的演出吸引住了。另外，这个字的字尾加上 ing 可以成为它的形容词 enthralling， 用来形容迷人的。所以可以说 You will absolutely love this flamenco troupe. Their performances are simply enthralling. 你一定会喜欢这个佛朗明哥舞团，他们的表演超级迷人的。
Okay, let's continue talking about our story. This is the final part here. Despite his troubling observations, when Giovanni learned of a secret way into the garden, he jumped at the opportunity to meet the daughter. So despite, even though this is true, even though he had these troubling observations of the garden and of the doctor and of the daughter, even though he thought things were kind of strange over there, still he wanted to go into that garden and meet the daughter, whose name was Beatrice. So he jumped at the opportunity. He jumped at the chance. He took that opportunity right away. He did not hesitate at all. He went for it.
Yeah, but he really shouldn't have done that. Remember what he observed before. We've got a poisonous person and a totally poisoned garden. So for the most part, his attraction there should have probably died out. But here, his attraction to Beatrice, his curiosity there, it remains. So despite, or even though he's had these troubling observations, Giovanni is still excited about this girl, Beatrice. He wants to meet her. He wants to go into this garden. Anyways, before we move on, we also have the word observation. An observation is the act of viewing something or of looking at something in a whole lot of detail. So if you make an observation, yes, you look at that thing, you watch that thing, you view that thing, but you have focused on that thing. You've paid a lot of attention to that thing. Anyways, it says here that Giovanni, he was enthralled by her innocence and the way her breath smelled just like the purple flowers from the garden. So yes, he meets Beatrice and he is smitten. He's enthralled by her. He's enthralled by her innocence and also her scent. Yes, her breath smelled just like the purple flowers from the garden. Oh no, be careful, Giovanni. Remember, her breath has killed animals before, and you, Giovanni, are in fact an animal. Anyways, apparently Giovanni likes the innocence that Beatrice has. What does this mean, Roger?
Innocence, yes. Well, as you described, innocence means the state of not being guilty. Like I've tried for years to prove my innocence and to prove that I did not commit the crime. But this is a slightly different shade of meaning here. Innocence means you lack guilt or you lack evil. You're basically a very good person. You've never hurt anybody else before. You've never done anything wrong. So, of course, he's enthralled. He's captivated. He is just in love with her innocence, and he also likes the way her breath smells like the purple flowers from the garden. So when he's close to her and she talks and when she breathes, he takes a sniff of her breath and he's just enthralled. Oh, wow. Your breath smells just like those purple flowers. This is fantastic. I am so enthralled by your breath.
Now, he offered to pick one for her, one of these purple flowers, but when he did so, she screamed and pulled his hand away. "Touch it not," she cried, "not for thy life. It is fatal." Yes, if something is fatal, by the way, it is deadly. It is capable of killing you. Like you could say, for example, the bite of a cobra can be fatal, or the venom of a cobra can be fatal to humans. Anyways, that night, Giovanni could hardly sleep, and his hand felt like it was on fire when he awoke. And get this, where Beatrice had grabbed him, there was a purple handprint burned onto his skin. So yes, Beatrice is innocent. Okay, she did try to save this guy's life one time. Yeah, don't pick that flower. It'll kill you. It's fatal. But at the same time, remember, she is actually poisonous.
Right. I guess his arm felt as if it were bitten by fire ants. Doesn't sound like a good situation. Okay, that brings us to the end of our explanation for today. Let's listen now to our Chinese teacher.
各位同学大家好，我是 Hanny。 我们来看今天的文法重点。读到课文第二部分的第一句，他说 While staring out of his window, Giovanni saw the doctor, protected by gloves and a mask, appear in the garden. 好，前半句他说这个 while staring， 这是由 while Giovanni stared简化而来的，这是因为前后子句的主词相同，都是指 Giovanni。 那我们可以省略 while 后方重复的主词，然后再把主动动词 stared 改成现在分词 staring， 这样就会形成分词构句，变成 while staring out of his window。好，接着看到句子里面 protected 它是由 who was protected 省略而来的哦。好，那么 who was protected by gloves and a mask 这个关系子句只是用来补充说明先行词 the doctor， 说明说那一位医生身上戴着手套面具保护着。那我们就把这个关系子句先遮住不看，因为它只是补充说明嘛。好，那我们就看到课文句子的后半句，它就会是 Giovanni saw the doctor appear in the garden。 这边它是用 see 加上受词加原形动词来强调说看到医生出现在花园的这个事实，这个过程。那我们顺便就来整理一下感官动词的用法。感官动词呢，它是指看、听、闻、感觉之类的动词，像是 see, watch, look at, notice, listen to, hear, smell, feel 等等。那么用法是感官动词加受词加受词补语。好，这个受词补语呢，可以用原形动词、现在分词或是过去分词，可是这三种用法的意义不同。首先，感官动词加受词搭配原形动词的话，这是表达观察到事实或是过程，就是像课文的用法。举例来说， We listened to Ed sing，就是说我们听 Ed 唱歌，那这是在强调整个听歌的过程，不是突然听到哦。好，那么第二种用法，感官动词加上受词加现在分词，这是在表达观察到动作正在进行。例如 They heard someone talking downstairs， 他们听到楼下有人正在讲话。好，第三种用法，感官动词加受词加过去分词，这是用来表达观察到被动或者是已经完成的动作，像是 She saw a cat stuck in the tree， 她看到一只猫被困在那个树上。好，那接着看到课文第三部分，一开始有一个单字叫 observation， 它表示观察、观察结果、观测结果。那它的动词是 observe， O-B-S-E-R-V-E。那我们来学它的字首字根。好 S-E-R-V 这个字根它有保存、服务或者是留意什么什么、确保安全的意思。那么像 service 这个字 它表示服务或者是效劳，那它就是由 serve 再加上抽象的名词字尾 ice 而来的。那我们来看 observe 这个字，它的 serve 表示看管留意，那么字首 ob 表示在什么什么的上方。好，在上方看管着，你看看有人在上方随时去留意周遭动态的时候，就不难联想到 observe 这个动词，它具有观察、观测或是监视的意思。那我们在 observe 后面加上名词字尾 ation， 就会得到我们这个名词 observation 哦。好，那么以上是今天的重点整理，我们回顾今天的单字吧。
Devotion. I've never met anyone with such a strong devotion to their family before. Disturb. The horror movie disturbed Claudia so much that she couldn't sleep after watching it. Lizard. The lizard ran up the side of the building until it was out of sight. Perish. Reports now estimate that as many as 50 people perished when the boat sank. Despite. Despite proof that the medicine is safe, many people choose not to use it. Observation. As Robert studied the bird's behavior, he recorded his observations in a notebook. Innocence. The parents don't want to discuss the topic now because they want to preserve their children's innocence. Fatal. If the disease is not treated quickly, it is often fatal.
Okay, everyone. With that, today's article is now complete. But, as always, we sure hope that you guys have enjoyed reading along with us. Anyways, I'm Jeff.
I am Roger.
See you next time.